The moment Olivia Jenkins walked into the cafe wearing her brother's oversized flannel shirt, mismatched socks, and deliberately messy hair, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. Across the room, behind designer sunglasses that hid eyes that had seen the world, sat Marcus Harrington, worth $2.3 billion and completely, utterly captivated by the woman who clearly didn't want to be there. If you've ever wondered whether true love exists beyond appearances, this story might just restore your faith. Like, subscribe, and join me on this journey of unexpected romance that proves sometimes the universe has plans we could never imagine. Olivia Jenkins stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of Café Lumiere, barely recognizing herself. Her normally sleek brown hair was tangled into what could only be described as a bird's nest. The flannel shirt she'd borrowed from her brother hung like a tent over her petite frame, paired with baggy jeans that had seen better days. She'd even gone so far as to smudge her makeup slightly and wear her old glasses instead of contacts. "Perfect," she muttered, adjusting the glasses on her nose. "Absolutely hideous." This wasn't vanity gone wrong, it was strategy. After 5 disastrous blind dates set up by her well-meaning but misguided best friend Zoe, Olivia had devised what she considered a foolproof plan, look so unappealing that her date would make an excuse and leave within minutes. Then she could go home, order takeout, and binge-watch her favorite show in peace. No more awkward conversations. No more disappointment. No more wasting precious Saturday evenings. She checked her watch. Her date, some guy named Marcus, was due to arrive any minute. Zoe had been unusually secretive about this one, only saying he was different and exactly what you need. Olivia had heard that before. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the bathroom door and made her way to the table she'd reserved, ordering a simple black coffee. The cafe was busy for a Saturday afternoon, filled with the gentle hum of conversation and the rich aroma of freshly ground beans. Marcus Harrington sat in his Tesla, parked across the street from Café Lumiere, checking his Patek Philippe watch. He was early, as usual. Punctuality was a habit he couldn't break, even for a blind date he'd been reluctant to agree to. At 34, Marcus had built an empire from a single tech startup. His company, Harrington Innovations, had revolutionized renewable energy storage, making him one of the youngest billionaires in the country. But success had come at a price: isolation, suspicion, and a string of relationships with women who seemed more interested in his bank account than his character. His cousin James had been insistent about this setup, claiming his wife's best friend was genuine and refreshingly normal. Marcus had his doubts. Everyone claimed to know someone who wasn't after his money, yet somehow, they always were. He adjusted his sunglasses, a habit from years of trying to maintain some anonymity in public, and stepped out of his car. He dressed down for the occasion, designer jeans that looked deliberately casual, a simple button-up shirt, and loafers that cost more than most people's monthly rent but appeared unremarkable. His only concession to his usual style was his watch, a sentimental piece his father had given him before passing away. As he crossed the street, Marcus reminded himself of his exit strategy, a pre-arranged call from his assistant in 30 minutes if things weren't going well. He'd perfected the apologetic work emergency excuse. The bell above the cafe door chimed as he entered, scanning the room for a woman who matched the vague description James had provided: brown hair, probably dressed nice, name's Olivia. Olivia sipped her coffee, checking her phone every few seconds. Part of her hoped this Marcus wouldn't show up at all, saving them both the awkwardness. She'd positioned herself facing the door, wanting to see his reaction when he first laid eyes on her deliberately disheveled appearance. The bell above the door chimed, and Olivia looked up to see a man enter. Even through her smudged glasses, she could tell he was handsome, tall with broad shoulders, dark hair neatly trimmed, and a jawline that could cut glass. He wore sunglasses despite being indoors, which struck her as either pretentious or strange. He scanned the room slowly, and Olivia quickly looked down at her phone, hoping he wasn't her date. Someone who looked like that would probably be even more judgmental about her appearance. But fate had other plans. The man approached her table, removing his sunglasses to reveal the most intense blue eyes she'd ever seen. "Olivia?" he asked, his voice deep and surprisingly gentle. She looked up, feigning surprise. "Oh. You must be Marcus." She stood awkwardly, extending her hand, making sure to reveal the mismatched socks as her jeans rode up. Marcus took her hand, and something unexpected happened. Instead of the quick, dismissive handshake she anticipated, he held her hand for a moment longer than necessary, his eyes never leaving her face. "It's nice to meet you," he said, and the sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. As they sat down, Olivia waited for the inevitable, the flicker of disappointment, the subtle checking of the time, the beginning of the end. But Marcus simply smiled, removed his jacket, and asked, "Have you ordered anything besides coffee?" "No, I wasn't sure what you'd want to do," she stammered, suddenly feeling childish in her disguise. "I hear they make excellent pastries here. Would you like to share something?" Olivia blinked, confused by his apparent lack of reaction to her appearance. "Sure," she said slowly. "The almond croissants are good." Marcus signaled a server, ordered 2 almond croissants and a cappuccino for himself, then turned his full attention back to Olivia. "So, James tells me you're a kindergarten teacher?" "Yes," she replied, unconsciously tucking a strand of her messy hair behind her ear. "For 5 years now." "That must be rewarding," he said, leaning forward slightly. "And challenging." "It is both," she admitted, finding herself warming to the conversation despite her plan. "The kids are amazing, so honest and curious. But it's exhausting too. I can imagine. Children have an energy that's hard to match." As their pastries arrived, Olivia found herself increasingly puzzled. Marcus wasn't checking his phone or looking around the cafe for escape routes. Instead, he seemed genuinely interested in her work, asking thoughtful questions about her teaching philosophy and laughing at her stories about classroom mishaps. An hour passed, then 2. The pre-planned exit strategies both had arranged went unused. Olivia had completely forgotten about her deliberate ugliness, engrossed in conversation with a man who seemed to see past it entirely. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd enjoyed someone's company this much. There was something about Olivia that fascinated him, a genuineness that shone through despite her oddly disheveled appearance. Her eyes lit up when she talked about her students, and she listened intently when he carefully edited stories about his work, deliberately omitting details about his wealth. He'd noticed her unusual outfit immediately, of course. The oversized shirt, the messy hair, the smudged glasses. But rather than being put off, he found it intriguing. In a world where most women he met were perfectly polished and calculated, Olivia's apparent disregard for appearances was refreshing. What Marcus didn't know was that beneath her deliberately unappealing exterior was a woman who had given up on finding someone who valued her for more than her looks. And what Olivia didn't know was that beneath his casual demeanor was a man who had given up on finding someone who valued him for more than his money. As afternoon turned to evening, Marcus made a suggestion. "There's a small art gallery a few blocks from here having an opening tonight. Would you like to go?" Olivia hesitated. This wasn't part of her plan. She was supposed to be home by now, in comfortable clothes, not continuing a date she'd tried to sabotage. But something about Marcus made her curious. "I'm not exactly dressed for an art gallery," she said, gesturing to her outfit. Marcus smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I think you look perfect just as you are." The sincerity in his voice made her heart skip a beat. Against her better judgment, she found herself saying, "Okay, let's go." The gallery was small but elegant, showcasing works by local artists. As they wandered through the exhibits, Olivia became increasingly self-conscious about her appearance among the well-dressed patrons. She noticed a few curious glances, a couple of raised eyebrows. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea, she whispered to Marcus as they stood before an abstract painting. "Why not?" he asked, seeming genuinely confused. Look at me, Marcus. I'm a mess. People are staring. He turned to face her fully, his blue eyes serious. If they're staring, it's because they're wondering how I got so lucky to be here with you. Olivia laughed nervously. You don't have to say that. I never say things I don't mean, he replied, and something in his tone made her believe him. As they moved to the next exhibit, a woman in an expensive-looking dress approached them, her eyes widening as she recognized Marcus. Marcus Harrington. What a surprise to see you here, she exclaimed, air-kissing both his cheeks before turning a curious gaze to Olivia. Olivia felt her stomach drop. Harrington. The name suddenly clicked into place. She'd seen it in the news, on magazine covers. Marcus Harrington, tech innovator, philanthropist, billionaire. Hello, Vanessa, Marcus replied politely but coolly. This is Olivia Jenkins. Olivia, this is Vanessa Moore, a business acquaintance. Vanessa's eyes swept over Olivia's appearance, barely concealing her shock. Charmed, she said, in a tone that suggested anything but. Marcus, you must tell me about your latest project. I heard rumors about a new energy initiative. Another time perhaps, Marcus said firmly. Olivia and I were just discussing this fascinating piece. He gestured to the painting before them. After a few more attempts at conversation, Vanessa departed, but not before giving Olivia another bewildered look. You're that Marcus Harrington, Olivia said quietly once they were alone. Marcus sighed, removing his sunglasses and pocketing them. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier. People tend to act differently when they know. Like Vanessa, Olivia observed. Exactly like Vanessa, he agreed with a small smile. Olivia felt a wave of embarrassment wash over her. Here she was, deliberately dressed like a slob, on a date with one of the wealthiest men in the country. The absurdity of the situation hit her all at once, and to her horror, she began to laugh, a nervous, slightly hysterical laugh she couldn't control. What's so funny? Marcus asked, looking both concerned and amused. This, she gestured between them. Me. You. This whole situation. I'm not following. Olivia took a deep breath, deciding that honesty was the only way forward. I dressed like this on purpose, she confessed. I was trying to make you leave. Marcus's eyebrows rose in surprise. You were trying to scare me off. Yes, she admitted, feeling her cheeks burn with shame. I've had so many terrible blind dates that I just wanted this one to end quickly. I never expected you to be, well, you. Or to actually want to spend time with me looking like this. Instead of being offended, Marcus began to laugh, a rich, genuine laugh that made several nearby patrons turn their heads. What's so funny? Olivia asked, confused. We're quite a pair, he explained, his eyes twinkling with amusement. I came to this date with a fake emergency call scheduled and a plan to leave early. I was sure you'd be like all the others, interested in my money, not me. And instead you got a kindergarten teacher in her brother's clothes trying to look as unattractive as possible, Olivia said, starting to see the humor in the situation. Exactly, Marcus said, still smiling. And you know what? This is the best date I've had in years. They left the gallery shortly after, both feeling lighter after their confessions. Marcus suggested a walk in a nearby park, and Olivia agreed, no longer concerned about her appearance. As they strolled under trees strung with fairy lights, Marcus told her about growing up as the son of a struggling inventor, about building his company from nothing, and about the loneliness that came with success. People see the money, the company, the influence, he explained. They don't see me. Olivia nodded, understanding. That's why you wear the sunglasses. It's not pretension, it's protection. Exactly, he said, looking impressed by her insight. Your turn. Tell me something real. Olivia hesitated, then decided to trust him with her own truth. I've always been a pretty friend, she admitted. Men ask me out based on how I look, then lose interest when they realize I'd rather discuss books than post selfies. After a while, it makes you feel like that's all you are, a face, not a person. So you decided to take your appearance out of the equation entirely, Marcus observed. Yes. Childish, I know. Not childish, he disagreed. Self-protective. We all have our armor. He gestured to his casual but expensive clothes. This is mine. Blend in, don't stand out. They found a bench overlooking a small pond, sitting close enough that their shoulders almost touched. The night was cool but not cold, the sky clear and scattered with stars. Can I ask you something? Olivia said after a comfortable silence. Anything. Why didn't you leave when you saw me? Be honest. Marcus considered the question carefully. When I first saw you, I was curious. You were so different from the women I usually meet. No designer clothes, no perfect makeup. But then you started talking about your students, and your eyes lit up with such passion and joy. He paused, looking slightly embarrassed. I found myself wanting to know more about the woman who could care so deeply about something that wasn't herself. Olivia felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. Even though I looked like this, she gestured to her disheveled appearance. Marcus reached out slowly, tucking a strand of her messy hair behind her ear. Olivia, I've dated supermodels and socialites. Women who spend thousands on their appearance. And I've never felt with any of them what I felt sitting across from you in that cafe. And what was that? She asked, barely above a whisper. Recognition, he said simply. Like I'd found someone who might understand me. Their first kiss happened under the stars that night, gentle and tentative, full of possibility. When Marcus drove her home in his Tesla, which Olivia teasingly called just a car, to his amusement, he asked if he could see her again. I should warn you, she said as they stood at her apartment door. I don't actually dress like this. Normally I'm much more presentable. That's a shame, he replied with a mischievous smile. I've grown rather fond of that flannel shirt. She laughed, feeling lighter than she had in years. Next time, I'll dress as myself. No pretenses. I'd like that, he said softly. Though for the record, you're beautiful either way. Their second date was at a small, family-owned restaurant where Marcus was treated like any other customer. Olivia wore a simple blue dress that brought out her eyes, her hair falling in natural waves around her shoulders. When Marcus saw her, his expression of genuine appreciation made her blush. The real Olivia, he said, taking her hand. Just as beautiful as I imagined. Over the next few months, they created a world of their own. Marcus showed Olivia the simple pleasures his wealth afforded, private picnics in botanical gardens, quiet evenings at jazz clubs where no one recognized him, weekend trips to secluded beaches. But what Olivia treasured most were the ordinary moments, cooking dinner together in her tiny kitchen, grading papers while he worked on his laptop beside her, falling asleep watching old movies. For his part, Marcus found in Olivia something money couldn't buy, authenticity. She challenged him, made him laugh, and never treated him differently because of his wealth. When he showed her his real home, a modernist mansion overlooking the ocean, she was impressed but not overwhelmed. It's beautiful, she said, wandering through the minimalist space. But it doesn't feel like you live here. Her observation struck him. It doesn't, he admitted. It's more like a hotel I own. We should change that, she suggested, and over the following weeks, they did, adding bookshelves fee.